I feel like we just looked at this Grimlock, but we are doing it again. This time we're taking a look at Transformers Legacy G2 Universe Grimlock, which, as far as I understand it, this deco is based on like concept art of a G2 version of Grimlock, or like an unreleased prototype. Basically, anyone who's familiar with G2 Grimlock, which is one of the handful of things I am familiar with, G2 Grimlock is blue. This is not the G2 Grimlock that we got, but this apparently was going to be at one point. Now, I should say up front, what we're looking at here is not exactly what this figure looks like out of the box. Actually, the Dino Mode has a translucent orange neck, as opposed to the white neck. But going by the actual art for the concept figure, it seems like the Dino Mode was supposed to have a white neck. So I did the thing that a lot of people on TFW talked about, and I swapped them. I swapped this neck piece with between the G2 Grimlock and Shattered Glass Grimlock, because this was originally on him and this was originally on him. And I actually think this looks pretty cool. Like, this is kind of a Triptychon color scheme, and I think the translucent orange actually looks really good with the darker gray here, and it kind of works with some of the other orange bits, even though they're not translucent, obviously. And I think the white looks good here too. So yeah, that's what I did. And if anyone else wants to do it, the swap is pretty much just you have to unscrew the head and take it apart, and then unscrew the neck. Then you can pull off the two halves here, and then you just do the same with this guy and just pop them off, put the respective pieces in their respective places, screw everything back together, put the heads back together, screw it back together, and you're all done. So it's a really easy swap, but not strictly necessary, but I think it looks better. Also, you may notice Shattered Glass Grimlock has Reaper labels. The set definitely looks good on him, but we will see more of that later. But for now, we're talking about G2-ish Grimlock, and this thing is absolutely ridiculous, and I love it. It's just like not even banana colored, it's like primary yellow colored Grimlock with a kind of dark turquoisey accent in like a lot of different places, like the arms and the toes and whatnot. And he also has tiger stripes on the tail. I echo a lot of other people's sentiments in that I think it would have been cool if the tiger stripes appeared in a few other places and not just here. But as far as I could tell, this is also accurate to that original prototype design. So I think it's understandable why they only did it here, but I do think it would look good elsewhere, because if you look at this guy in Dino Mode particularly, if you ignore the tail, he is extremely plain. It's just a lot of yellow and the turquoisey arms, the turquoisey belly, yes, but like there's just so much here that doesn't have anything. Like, there's no extra detailing, or color detailing, I should say. Obviously, there's plenty of molding, but like, there's no extra colors anywhere on the legs other than the claws. No extra colors in the chest other than the arms. The only thing going on with the head is the eyes. So yeah, extremely plain deco. But I also have faith that there will be a Reaper label set for this guy, and the Reaper label sets for the Studio Series 86 Grimlock mold is 2 for 2 right now, so I'm sure the third one, which would be for this one, would be amazing, assuming they do one. I feel like it's a given, but, it's possible it won't. Yeah, it's the same Grimlock. It's the exact same. There's nothing different about this except the colors. The molding is exactly the same. It's just the colors that are different. But, again, it looks good. I mean, it's extremely bright and noxious, but in a fun way, in a way that I think is really cool. And it's got all of the same everything, all the same molding, all the same posability. The dino head can do, the up and down, jaw can open and close, head can rotate. The dino arms are on big ball joints, so they can rotate and kind of move in and out and around a little bit. You got the dino arm elbows. The legs can do the legs thing and go around and go out and swivel and bend at the knee using that incredibly clever joint that they came up with for this specific mold, which I will never stop singing the praises of because it's so clever. And you can angle the claws if you want. And yeah, just very standard, I mean good, but standard Studio Series 86 Grimlock posability. And he comes with the same gun as all the others. It's just this thing in black, same as the Studio Series version. It tabs in the same place it tabs in everywhere else, just tabs in back here using these little tabs on the one side of the gun. And yeah, it's all the same stuff. Now, since this is a leader class Studio Series Grimlock, he is pretty big in Dino mode. Let's bring in our size comparisons. Which, I mean, we've seen this twice already, but I'm still going to do it. So, here we've got Artfire and Rotor Storm and Overprime and Samus and Burnout in vehicle mode. So yeah, he is a big robot T-Rex, as he always is. Except now he's yellow. And it's a very, very garish but fun yellow. And we just looked at them before, but I'll bring back in Shattered Glass so you can see there how those two look together. And it is quite the contrast. I still prefer, honestly, Shattered Glass Grimlock's color scheme and overall deco, but he's still fun just because he's so bright and cheerful, I guess. And here we've got Studio Series Grimlock with the repro labels and also a little bit of custom work that I've done. Like I've painted a few spots. You can kind of see them back here. I painted a few spots on him black, painted the teeth silver, added repro labels. So yeah, as I said, same exact figure, just in toxic yellow colors. Also, let's take a moment to talk about Shattered Glass Grimlock with the repro labels. These do look really good. They add a lot of little details here and there that do exactly what I was hoping they would do. They just pick things out a little bit more. The torso now has some extra detailing up here that I think looks great and was much needed. And yeah, I don't know, it's a good it's a good sticker set. Highly recommend if you have Shattered Glass Grimlock and want to put stickers on him. Anyway, final and most important size comparison. Can't forget that. Here is G2 Universe Grimlock with the Duck Tank. Now, before we transform Grimlock into Grimlock and do that transformation that we've already seen a couple of times on the channel, I do want to say that if you like this video or any of the other videos that I've done in the past, including either of the other two Studio Series 86 Grimlock mold videos, and you'd like to support the channel, I do have a Patreon or a Ko-fi. Links for both in the description down below. Ko-fi, it's just, if you want to leave a tip, you can do that. Patreon, I have a $1 tier. It's the only tier I've got, and that $1 a month gets you early access to new videos. And also, I've started playing around with doing Patreon exclusive stuff, but like really simple things like the occasional unboxing and first impressions video. So like that kind of thing, only going to be up on Patreon. But if you'd rather support the channel in ways that don't require money, you could always do like the typical YouTube stuff like comment, share, subscribe, that kind of thing. So with all that out of the way, let us transform this guy. And as I said, the transformation exactly the same as all the other Studio Series Grimlocks. Want to close the T-Rex mouth and get the head kind of straight, pull that head all the way up, and then pop this out of the chest section here. I personally like to angle the dino arms so that they just kind of line up with the torso here, just like that. And then pull this apart down the middle. Now the pegs on this particular one, both Shattered Glass Grimlock and Studio Series Grimlock don't have this thing, but the pegs on this one specifically are kinda tight. So something to be aware of. So this might take a little bit of effort to unpeg. Yeah, they are really in there, but as you saw, they do come out. So unpeg that, rotate these up, and you can also move them kind of back and out of the way like that. Then we can flip up the head. And that plan will just kind of snaps, but not exactly. It'll settle into place. Now, I'm going to straighten out the knees. They bend this way. You want to push them in until they click. And then you can pull them forward until they unclick from this joint here. And that gives you the proper robot mode elbow, which is such a clever thing. Flip the fist around. I talk about this in every video, but I really love how simple but also ingenious and elegant that is, because that way Grimlock has a proper bend for the Dino Mode legs in addition to having proper robot mode elbows without having to like reposition the toe claws or anything like that. So yeah, do all that. Disconnect the chest section. It'll kind of tab in back here, but really the main thing is it tabs in up here. So you want to pull back, not up. You want to pull like that. So kind of push that forward and lift that up, because there are little bits that this will slide around. So you just want to make sure that you slide it forward before lifting it up. So do that, then lift it up, and these little bits will settle in there, and this will kind of lock in place. There, the upper body is done. For the lower body, you want to split this down the middle, which does also peg in pretty solidly. It's weird that this is like the third use of this mold, but it actually seems to be the most solid in terms of how everything pegs together. Don't know why that is. Come on. Let go. There we go. Okay. So, with all that unpegged, can swing that out, and then accordion in the tail tip. It just settles in there. And now with that done, you can swing the leg down, and this is kind of cool. There are actually these little slots back here that tab in over this, and that is what kind of keeps this from moving around in Dino mode. So untap that, swing this around, and then this is shaped so that as you straighten this out, it should push this armature over, but I prefer to slide it over manually because I just don't want to risk damaging that plastic. So basically just take this strut here and slide it this way. You can kind of see where it's going to slide. So just slide that over, then straighten this out, and this chunky tab here will clip in here. And can straighten out the leg, swing this all the way around, and that will settle into the back, and then flip this panel up and around to make the rest of the foot. And there is one leg. The other leg, same deal. Just swing that out, accordion that in, untap that, and swing this down. Slide this over, put it in, straighten out the leg, swing this back around, straighten that out, and that's it. There we have G2 Universe Legacy Grimlock. Oh, actually, one last thing. You want to take the dino head and move it back, and this little bit will tab into that hole in the back. There we go. Now we're done, and there we have G2 Universe Grimlock in robot mode. And again, this thing is kind of hideous, but in a really fun way. It's all the same molding, just wild color schemes. And here, the tiger stripes on the tail work a lot better because they're much more prominent. You see them a lot better when you're looking at the figure from the front, and really from the sides. But again, not a lot happening in the arms, what used to be the Dino Mode legs. You just could use a little bit more here. because all you really get are the yellow for the arms, the turquoisey blue for the talons, and then now the black for the fists. It just could use something extra. Similarly, there's nothing really going on in the waist section. It's like there's molded, but there's nothing on the thighs, nothing on the waist at all. They did paint the midriff section so that it blends in with the pelvis section, which it's nice that they did that, but there needs to be something else going on here. Also, they painted the chest this really nice metallic color, which doesn't exactly match the talons, but it's a similar tone. And that looks great. You've got this translucent orange, which is the same color used for what was originally the neck before I swapped it around. And that shows off a lot of really nice molded detail behind that window that is also really nice, and it pops really nicely because it's, I'm assuming, the same metallic blue color as everything else. So seeing this through the orange just really pops. Got this cool tampo there that's reminiscent of the, I think the G1 toy had a similar deco on the chest, or a sticker, which is very cool. And then the head is entirely silver, which is quite the departure for Grimlock. Let's take a look at that head real quick. It's the same exact head as before, just in silver with this really slick kind of metallic-y turquoise visor, which matches the chest. And it's great sculpting. The silver stands out in a weird kind of color clashy way, but I'm into it. And yeah, it's a cool deco. The thing that kind of bums me out about all this is the fact that it just isn't. They just didn't push the deco as far as they did with Shattered Glass Grimlock, I feel. Anyway, before we start talking about that, let's talk about that articulation. So it's, again, exactly the same as all the other versions of this mold. The head is on a ball joint, so you can get some side-to-side and up and down tilt, as well as looking around. The arms can go out to 90 and can rotate all the way around. The little flaps back here can get in the way, but you can also angle those out, so you can go all the way around. The flaps themselves can move like this and move like this, so plenty of posing options there. You get a bicep swivel. You get a single jointed elbow that bends pretty well past 90, I think. The fists, you can use the transformation joint to curl them in if you want, but they also do rotate. So nice arm articulation. You get a waist rotation that can go all the way around if you want it to. The legs can kick forward past 90 and can kick back slightly past 90. They can go out to 90. You get a thigh rotation that thankfully is not impeded by the outward motion. I always find it annoying when that happens. And then you get a single jointed knee bend that bends slightly under 90 degrees, but just extremely slightly. Also, you can actually move it one click forward if you want, which it's not like super specific, but you could potentially use it for like dramatically leaning forward hero type stances if you wanted to do that. You can see how the thighs kind of angle like that. So you could use that slightly forward knee bend if you want. And then the feet do bend to like 90 degrees, and you've got this nice little molded bit that kind of slides into the leg, so it doesn't break up the sculpt when you use that ankle tilt, which is cool. And if you really wanted to, you could also use the heel section to bend in and basically bend around like that because of the transformation. So yeah, he is pretty posable. It's just that thing with the lack of paint. And I mean, I know they're not like, none of these Grimlocks are absolutely covered in paint. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is like basically the paint that G2 Universe Grimlock has is the tiger stripes on the legs, the midriff, the little purpley bit on the midriff, the metallic-y turquoise on the chest, and then the silver on the head and the metallic-y turquoise on the eyes, And then, like, if you want to count it, which I guess we can, the turquoise on the dino eyes. And that's it. It just doesn't seem like what bothers me about this isn't that I feel like he's not painted enough, though he could use more detail. It's that I feel like this doesn't have the same amount of paint as this. And this and this are the same price. Yes, I know this figure has Reaper labels, but like, you know, if we break it down, this guy has paints on the eyes, paints on the teeth, and some of these things do have Reaper labels covering them up now, but like, I remember what's painted. So like, you've got painted teeth, painted eyes, painted outside bits in 2 different places on both sides of the dino mode. Orange painted on the shoulders, turquoise painted on the fronts of the shoulders, white painted on the shins. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure these stripes here were actually painted orange. The torso is painted purple. The midriff is painted black. The face has the white paint on it. So like, there's more paint on, oh, and purple here. There's demonstrably more paint on this figure. It's straight up, there is more paint on this figure, but it costs exactly the same as this one. And the only thing I can think of that might be the difference here is maybe the tiger stripes, for whatever reason, cost more to apply. That's purely theoretical. I don't know. But it's like, if you, like, I feel like if that's not the case, then something happened, because there just should be, if again, it's going by what this guy had versus this guy. And these are not released that far apart. So like, this guy, $54.99 US, brand new. This guy, $54.99 US, brand new. And I just don't understand. Oh, also, they painted the gun, each of the tips of the gun. So like, just so many more little paint apps on this guy versus, just remember, even these bits were painted, I think, orange, or maybe it was unpainted orange plastic, I don't know, but essentially these were paint, yeah. And also underneath here, this, there's a sticker covering it now, but like, this panel covered up a, like a bright white chest piece, so it popped more. So yeah, like, if this is like $55 and this is $55 and this just has so much more paint in different places, it's kind of like, where did the money go for this? This is the 3rd use of this mold. I feel like at that point, they don't really need to skimp on the paint applications to make good use of it. I don't know how the business works, but it strikes me as a little odd. That said, I still love this thing, and am absolutely going to be getting Reaper labels when they come out for it, assuming they come out for it. But it does make me wonder what happened with the money here. Anyway, I think I've ranted about that long enough. Let's quickly go over his weapon, which, as I said, same as the Studio series. It's just the double-barreled gun molded in black plastic, and it pegs into the hand. And much like the other figures, which I did not know until semi-recently, like around the time I did the video for the Shattered Glass version, to store it, there's this little gap on the back of the gun that actually clips over the T-Rex arms, so you can store the gun that way. Not how I'm going to be doing it. He's just going to have it in his hand, but that is a storage option, or to kind of sort of peg it into the throat hole on the dinosaur neck. But yeah, there is G2 Universe Grimlock with his gun, and he looks cool, and he's just so bright and ridiculous, and very, like, this isn't the G2 color scheme for Grimlock, but it is very much G2 in its extremely bright colors that are just so 90s in a very good way. And now for actual proper size comparisons, here he is with our typical comparisons. And he is a leader class Grimlock, so he is tall, as is always the case, and has been the case with the other two versions of this exact same figure that we looked at. But yeah, he's big. He's closer to old school leader, I guess, in terms of height, which I think I've said this before, but I don't really care that much about leader height as long as it's a good figure. But he is very big. And again, here he is with the Shattered Glass version. And just because, why not? Let's move this back a little more. And you here, put you here. Let's move you forward a bit. There we go. So there we've got all three Grimlocks together. The Studio Series, Shattered Glass, and G2 Universe. And it is a fantastic mold. I am still inclined to say that out of all three, Shattered Glass Grimlock is my favorite, because I just really like the colors, really like the detailing, and the repro labels look so good. But G2 Grimlock is extremely fun, and Studio Series Grimlock is just like an all-timer classic based on the original toy / cartoon, so yeah. This is just my go-to mold, I guess. It's the one that I'll buy every version they release a figure for. Really, I still am hoping they do a proper blue G2 Grimlock, but I'm content with the bright orange or bright yellow one for now. And again, as I was saying, the repro labels on Shattered Glass Grimlock look fantastic. It's just lots of little bits here and there, in the thighs and the waist section, all over the torso, and the arms, and the insides of the wings here, which I do really like. But the thing, I just want to talk about this real quick, but the thing that I love the most about the repro label set for Shattered Glass Grimlock is what they do to the head. Now, the stickers do have a lot more that you can add up and around here. I only added the sticker for the little head vent, and I think I maybe applied the sticker for the visor, so it's like shiny and reflective. You can kind of see the reflection in there. And then the black in the corners. But there's a lot more for the mouth plate. I didn't use those because I really, really like this metallic, like pearlescent white that they used for the mouth plate. But I really liked adding the black bits, and I couldn't figure out why for the longest time. Like, I could not figure out why that appealed to me so much, and then I realized it. With those black pieces in the corners of the and sides of the faceplate, it really makes it look more like a skull. And I just think that's really cool. So yeah, that is how Shattered Glass Grimlock looks with repro labels. He looks amazing, and it's a great figure. And I think it's safe for me to say that he is probably my favorite of the three versions that I own. But that doesn't mean I'm going to be getting rid of the other two. Just that he is the best of three extremely good figures. But that is going to do it. I think that is more than enough talking up Grimlock because it's Grimlock. And I feel like, as I said with Shattered Glass Grimlock, anyone who missed out on Studio Series Grimlock, or in this case, missed out on Shattered Glass Grimlock, if you really want the mold, you can't go wrong with this version either. It is absolutely tacky, but it's fun tacky. And it's a great figure in its own right. The transformation is wonderful and simplistic, but in like a really good, solid, pleasing way. And this is just such an interesting and unique, let's say, color scheme that they came up with. And again, assuming we get a repro label set, which I feel like we have to, because we got one for the other Grimlocks, but I don't know for sure. I'm just guessing at this point. As of this recording, there's been no rumblings of a sticker set for this guy just yet, but I feel like it's inevitable. Point is, even without repro labels, this guy is fun. My gripes about there not being enough paint compared to the Shattered Glass version aside, it's still just fantastic. And I think once we potentially, hopefully, fingers crossed, get a reprobable set, he's going to look even better. But that is enough. I have gone on far too long about something that I've already covered twice already on the channel. So yes, that's enough about what I think of this guy. What do you all think of either this deco or the Studio Series Grimlock mold in general? And are there any other color schemes you think would be fun to see aside from, like, you know, the blue G2 version? Because I feel like if they reuse this again, and they've reused it twice already, that's probably the most obvious one that they could go for. But I'm kind of wondering if there are other ways they could repaint, not even remold, just repaint and recolor this mold to really do something fun with it. But whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you everybody so much for watching. And yeah, I don't know what the next video is going to be. We'll see. I'm sure it'll be interesting, maybe. Don't hold me to that. Bye.